A big shift in our weather pattern brings about cooler temperatures as we kick off the day and a whole lot of sunshine.
We have crews available in Spokane that are currently repairing the transmission.
This morning, crews are working to restore power to thousands of homes.
About 24 hours after a historic windstorm blew its way through the inland northwest, we're live this morning taking a look at all of the damage in our area.
It looked like, from my point of view, it looked like it impaled my mom. I was freaking out.
A close call for one South Hill family. A tree came crashing into their bedroom. We hear from their son about the accident.
The city so far has lost about 140 trees in our parks. Of course, that's not even counting neighborhoods.
This morning, Spokane Mayor Nadine Woodward joins us live on Up with KREM. We'll talk about damage to the city and the cleanup efforts now underway.
Up with KREM starts right now with Jen York, Joshua Robinson, Jeremy Legoo, and Dana Marie McNichol.
.01 now. Welcome to Up with KREM. I'm Jen York. We do begin this morning with breaking news. Miners are trapped underground in a North Idaho mine. This is at the Galena Mine Complex. Nicole Hernandez is in Wallace now. You spoke with experts just a short time ago. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Jen, so right now power is still out here in Wallace and at that mine, but the good news is the mine said that their miners are not in danger, that they have food, they have water, and they have fresh air, but they've been there for coming up on 24 hours now. They got trapped in there after the windstorm knocked power out for the mine and then of course the surrounding areas, and since they've just been waiting out this time now. So there were some miners that were able to get out. Some of the younger miners did decide to make the trek up out of the mine, but that is a long, hard trek to do considering that the mine is a shaft mine and goes thousands of feet into the ground. So some of the other miners decided to wait it out instead. Now, like I mentioned, the mine staff did say that they are safe at this point, that it's just a waiting out period at this point. They did not tell us how many people are still trapped or how many people were able to get out, but they did say that they are in contact with all of the miners, that they have phones that they can talk to, they have access to that food and water and fresh air, and that they're in a station area in order to wait out this time period. Now, they did say that Avista's last update to them said that power should be back on around 5 a.m. Obviously, we're now in the 6 a.m. hour, and it is still completely dark out here in Wallace and still dark over by the mine. So at this point, it's a waiting game, and we'll make sure to bring you any information as soon as we get it. Live in Wallace, I'm Nicole Hernandez.
Yeah, Nicole, can you give us a brief weather report too? I know down in the mine it might be a little bit warmer, but is there any indication that it could, leak any heat? I mean, how safe are these miners?
Yeah, they made it sound like it was a very safe situation for them, that they said even going as far as that they're probably asleep at this point, just waiting it out. But it is very cold up here above the mine for sure. So maybe they're in a little bit better of a situation down there with the warmth.
All right, Nicole, thank you so much for bringing us that story. Of course, that's something we'll continue to track this morning here on Up with KREM. 6:03 now. We do want to take a live look outside here on our Thursday morning over downtown Spokane. Yeah, the camera a little more steady this morning than this time yesterday. But this morning, 2 people are dead and thousands of homes are still without power following yesterday's historic windstorm. This morning, we do have team coverage. Jeremy Legoo is tracking the forecast with a big change in the temperature, and Dana Marie McNichol is covering the damage of a Spokane landmark. Joshua Robinson is also covering widespread damage in Spokane. Of course, this morning we are getting a better look at the damage in Comstock, that's Comstock neighborhood, one of the hardest hit areas. So check it out. Winds had toppled dozens of trees in Comstock Park. It left huge holes in the ground. Some trees survived, but were left bent in sharp angles. And this morning, Joshua Robinson is at Comstock Park. Joshua, what does it look like?
Well, Jen, it's pretty easy to see right behind me just how extensive that damage can be. You can see just some of those trees here at Comstock Park down, holding up the road, and there's some of them even in people's parking lots. We're going to give you a closer look as you can see just how far this street is completely blocked off. This is one of the entrances into Comstock Park. You can hear that one of the houses down at the end of this area has their generator running. A lot of houses are in the dark right now, Jen, and of course, this all comes after that historic windstorm pushed its way through yesterday. We know that as these these trees can cause real problems. Some of the bigger issues is those trees in the nearby streets, whether it's the larger arterial streets or smaller side streets like this one. And a few blocks away, that you can see other trees in this video right now as trees falling on houses. Luckily, no one was hurt in that video. And we're going to take a look at other pictures from inside the house as the gas ceiling insulation was strewn all over the floor, and the homeowner says a crane will be required to move that tree. Luckily, she says she does have insurance. She says she called the downed trees part of life in the South Hill. And in the 2015 storm, she says she lost a tree in her front yard that year as well, as long as another one across the street collapsing onto her fence. So unfortunately, this is a trend in her life, she says. And the house just behind hers, that one was hit too. Now, the top half of that same tree that we're looking at was breaking up, impaling through the roof, and home video shows what a huge hole looks like, just like that from the inside. Tough video and images to see this morning, but the city of Spokane is planning to provide free disposal of trees and tree limbs that came down during the windstorm. Tree debris from the storm can be placed in green yard waste carts for pickup on customers' normal garbage collection starting next week. Now, that debris must be contained in the carts for this special service. Debris outside of the carts will not be collected. And branches must be smaller than 3 inches in diameter, and they must also fit within that cart. But city crews are out and working to clear the roadways. I saw a couple of them this morning. We plan to speak to Mayor Woodward today. We also spoke with her last night, and this is what she says and what she's asking of Spokane's residents.
Bad things were, and we ask people to avoid that at all costs. We have a lot of trees that have been damaged, that are unstable. Limbs could fall on people, and a lot of those pines that were completely uprooted, there is an impact there with underground utilities. So we ask people to stay away from that. So as our crews.
And coming up at 6:30, as I mentioned, we will be talking to Mayor Woodward about what the city is doing today to help clean up after the storm. And of course, when it comes to crews cleaning up, Vista crews have been out. They tell us that they've been working around the clock. We saw a few of them coming their way through the area this morning as we made our way towards Comstock Park. And assessments, they could take 24 hours or more in some cases due to the widespread damage, and the outages might even last a couple of days in some cases. At the height of yesterday's storm, Jen, more than 100,000 homes across the region lost power. And Jen, especially as we look back here live at Comstock Park, part of the issue is, yeah, we talk about these large trees, but one thing we probably should talk more about is mixed into these trees, you can actually see there is a wire. We can't tell if it's a power line, if it's a telephone line, but of course you are always asked to treat any lines like this as if they are live. And like I said, all the houses around this area totally dark. I could hear the faint whirring as we kind of head down this way. The tree that's in the parking or in the driveway at the very end of this lot has a generator going. No other lights are on though, really. I see what looks like maybe a couple of flashlights. But yeah, this is it's really striking to be able to walk this close to the needles, walk this close to the trees, and see just how much damage it is. This damage could take a long time, Jen, before we actually see full cleanup, especially in the Comstock Park area.
And Joshua, that's a good reminder about those lines that are down. Vista actually had to put out that warning yesterday. Just assume that they are all live and let the experts take care of it. But also where you're at, we just passed the 5-year anniversary of the 2015 windstorm, and that's the exact location I was in because that was one of the hardest hit areas from that storm. And clearly it appears that the same rings true from yesterday's storm.
Yeah, we're looking at these trees. I mean, the size of these trees alone tell stories of years and years and years, Jen. These are not small trees by any means. I mean, just the fact you can look at it right next to me, just how towering it is, even on its side, even when the needles and the tree limbs and the branches have been cut to this point. It's hard to see in the dark. I can't imagine what it looks like later on in this morning, and that's what we're going to be doing, though, this morning here on Up with KREM. We're going to keep going around live areas, checking out the damage, and let you know at home what it looks like in your area or other areas across the inland Northwest. But for now, reporting live, Joshua Robinson, KREM 2 News.
Joshua, thank you. Yeah, and you did give us a good perspective. We got a good look at some of those downed trees. But yeah, as soon as the sun comes up, getting a better glimpse as to what the situation looks like. Thank you. 6:09 now. Well, this morning we do want to get a look at the updated power outage numbers across the region. Right now, about 50,000 Avista customers are still without power. Inland Power and Light is reporting more than 8,000 outages. To report an outage to them, you can call the number that's there at the bottom of your screen. Meanwhile, Kootenai Electric is reporting about 7,500 outages. Those stretch from the Coeur d'Alene area up to Bayview. And at last check, Vera Water and Power has 800 customers without power. But that was as of 8 p.m. last night, and crews did work overnight on that. But crews say customers need to be prepared for extended outages. Well, these numbers, though, can change quickly. So for updates, you can text outages to 509-448-2000, and we'll send a link to the outage maps right to your phone. 6:10 now. Well, this morning, several schools are closed again due to the storm. So closed today, Coeur d'Alene Public Schools, Spokane Public Schools, and Medical Lake. We're also waiting to hear an update soon from the Central Valley School District as well. 6:10 on the clock now, 28 degrees. Jeremy, this time yesterday, I think we were somewhere maybe in the 40s. It's really a big difference today.
Yeah, boy, what a difference 24 hours makes. And you know, Jen, one of the, I guess, silver linings in a situation like this in the world of weather is that following a major storm, we almost always get a nice, sunny, clear, calm day after, allowing crews to continue cleanup. And that's exactly what we are going to see today. But when you have clear skies overhead and a lack of wind, temperatures plummet overnight. And we're still dealing with some of our longest nights of the entire year, so it's not a shocker that temperatures took a dive overnight. We're down to 28 degrees here in Spokane, 20 in Deer Park, 24 in Coeur d'Alene, and 28 in Sandpoint early on this morning. That's a pretty big drop from where we were this time yesterday. 15 degrees cooler here in Spokane, and we're going to trend cooler through much of the day.